All right, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. We're going to get through the warranting half of this as quickly as we can, but we're going to try to make sure we cover everything we need to. Once we're done with the warranting part of the meeting, we're going to move into the discussion that some of us had earlier today. Not everyone could make it for, which is we're going to be talking about the Kingdom Census. But on this meeting, we're going to go more into what you as local Chatelaines are actually going to be doing on the ground level for that. So let's hop into warranting real quick. As a Chatelaine, your job is going to be recruitment and retention in your local area. That is a broad topic, I recognize, but our office touches on both bringing newcomers in and helping people stay feeling welcome in the organization, keeping older members involved in local activities, things like that. We do a lot of things, and our office can sometimes look like we're just out having fun. We're organizing socials and going to demos and things like that. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of fun. It's very rewarding. And without Chatelaines, the society doesn't grow, and an organization like ours that doesn't grow doesn't stay around for very long. So our job is incredibly important. So what are your responsibilities? For a local Chatelaine, your job is going to be to plan a strategy for newcomer recruitment and a strategy for local retention. Ask yourself, what are recruitment opportunities in your area? Is there an activity you're trying to put a demo at? How do you want to retain your newcomers? What kind of landing platform do you as a Chatelaine want to build that makes people feel welcome, that gets them involved in your local area? When you have events starting to come up, how are you getting your newcomers out to those events? How are you making a space for them at those events where they feel like they can go, where they don't just feel welcome, but they feel like it's easy to go to an event, and what barriers can you remove to allow them to go? If you're hosting a demo, ask yourself, what other groups might my demo impact? Should I be asking another barony nearby, hey, do you want to help with this demo, whether it's with planning or just implementation of the demo itself? Because it is possible that your demo might affect your barony as well as 1, 2, even 3 others or more. And then what additional involvement can I get for planning and execution of demos and other activities? Who in my local area am I going to reach out to help get a social night going or get warm bodies out to work a demo? You're going to maintain loaner equipment. Most groups call this gold key. So you're going to inventory of it and provide that inventory to your local quartermaster. You're going to sign out all of those loaner items when you're distributing them to newcomers and make sure they get signed back in when you receive them. You don't want things to go missing on your watch. That's not great. And then you're also going to be in charge of taking care of any tools for your office, whether it's demo materials, business cards, etc. All of that falls under your purview. You're going to attend your local group's officer meetings, coordinate with the other officers to get newcomers in, to increase participation at activities you're trying to promote. You're going to assist them by helping get their newcomers whatever they may need to succeed. So if your rapier marshal is really pushing for instruction for rapier fighters, maybe you're going to help them reach out to other people in the group that might be able to assist with that. If your heavy marshal needs loaner gear and they're trying to look for help in putting together a loaner kit, maybe you're going to work together with the heavy marshal to see, like, maybe you can set up a day for people to work on making their own equipment or something. And then you're going to report on all of those activities, highlight your successes, and call out anyone who did a good job helping you. And those reports are going to come to your regional and from your regional to me. You're going to communicate with folks. So when you get an email from a newcomer, do your best to respond within 48 hours. I know that's not always going to happen, but those first 48 hours are really important when we're trying to bring people in. With social media, you're going to work together with your social media officers in welcoming people, promoting the group, and doing your best to keep people appraised of all of the activities that you might be trying to push at the time. You're going to report to me, informing me about the local activities you've done, newcomers you might have had at them, whether that means a demo or a revel. It's always good for us to know what's going on. And if you've just got a weekly social going where you have people from the barony or shire meeting up to have a games night, you can leave that for me too in your reports. I think those things are really important, and we're going to talk more about that a little bit later. And then make sure you submit your report as soon as you can in the month. Locals are technically due on the 1st. If I get them from you by the 9th, that can work, but really, please try to get them in by the 1st. When you submit a report, if you're submitting a report in the month of January, that report is reporting on the activities of the month of December. So that is your report covering the month of December. If you're a regional officer, your reports are due quarterly, and those are due on the 5th of the month. Let's move on. Any questions for now? All right. So what makes a good report? It should be concise. We don't need to write 4 paragraphs about the demo unless there was a major incident or a major success that you want to talk about. Briefer is usually better. More likely that a regional reports up to me and when they don't have to spend 5 minutes reading about X activity. That's informative. So make sure that you're talking about the things happening in your local area. Don't just go, we had 1 newcomer, we had, 2 newcomers classes, and we retained 3 people from the last month, and then leave everything else blank. The more you can let me know, the more that we can help you, the more that we can work to see if we can smooth some speed bumps or give you tools that you may need that you don't have already to succeed in your local area. It's data driven. So how are you tracking your newcomers? When you're reporting that you have 25 newcomers this month, is that in-person encounters with 25 different people that showed up at local activities? Is that 25 emails you received, or 25 new people in your Facebook group or Discord? Something else, right? Think about that and do your best to report what you feel is an accurate number, but we don't want to inflate it, right? I don't know that I would say that having 25 people that joined a Facebook group is probably not 25 newcomers. But if you've got, 4 or 5 people that have started to come out to local practices, in the last month, and you hope to see them again, you're working to retain them, that counts, right? If you've got someone who just joined your social media and they're really active on Discord and on Facebook and they're constantly posting and they're constantly chatting, maybe you didn't see them in person, I would still say that counts. So make sure you think about those things. And if you have questions about it, you can throw that in your report and go, hey, I'm really not sure how to report on X. Identify any pain points in your report. So there's a section for problems. Let me know the pain points. Some of y'all are really, really good about that. I know that I've seen a couple that are like, I don't have a lot of communication from my regional right now. We just had Sabjorn move out of Kingdom, and so I'm working on replacing the regional. We're also having a regional transition in Vindheim, and we just transitioned a new regional in Central. So I've had a whole bunch on my plate. I'm trying to get to everyone on those emails, but I'm now, doing a regional's job on top of my job, on top of a Kingdom census release. There's a lot going on right now, and I'll do my best to get to you as I can. Call out any local excellence in your report. If you have someone who's a rock star with recruiting, they're always helping with newcomers. They're always chatting with people. Everyone feels welcome around them. Tell me about it. I want to know about those people. If you're like, hey, this newcomer is super active, they've been around for 6-8 months now, I really think they deserve it already. Absolutely, you can put that in your report. I love putting people in for awards. So give me more people to put in for awards. Are there any additional metrics you want to see in your report? So if you're reporting things and you're like, man, I really want to report this, but I don't have a spot for it, throw that in problems. Let me know, like, I think we could add this to the report and it would allow me to communicate better what's going on in my group. And then if you have data that you want to receive regularly from my office, shoot me an email. If you're like, I really want to know about what our current reporting numbers look like every month, we can send that out to y'all. I just need to know that that's what you want. Questions on reporting? As a note, you submit your reports through the Kingdom website. You can literally just search online for Ansteorra, Hospitaller, or Chatelaine report. It'll bring you right to the page. Updates on the Chatelaine handbook. Last year, I started phase 2 of my working on the Chatelaine handbook. We did an update in my first year in office, and over the last year, I've been working on some additional updates. We've replaced all original instances of the word hospitaller to comply with the new society standard of Chatelaine. I say new, it's about 1.5 to 2 years now. The demo section was updated with some minimal updates, but I am in the process of working on breaking that off into its own handbook. I'm about 60% done with that. I have all the stuff I want to put in the handbook. I have most of the language. Now I'm in the process of figuring out how it's going to look and be organized. Hopefully before I get done with this term, we'll have a new demo handbook up for y'all. So if you're trying to get a new demo going, you don't know what you're doing with it, you're new to the office, we should have guidance on that soon. That'll require some review phases with the Crown and Kingdom Seneschal. It still might be a little bit, but should be done soon, hopefully. There was added guidance on content when you're reporting added in the handbook. I added a section for guidance on transitions. So how do you train a deputy? What does that timeline look like, etc. And then there were added details discussing the responsibilities of the office. Please, if you have not read the Chatelaines handbook, make sure you read the most updated copy of it. It's very important. There's a lot more information in there than I can communicate to you in just one meeting. So it is critical, if you're going to succeed in your office, that you read through the handbook and you know what it says. It's pretty light, and there are definitely sections that need more work, but it's a good tool and it's a good frontline resource when you have questions. So before we get into the Kingdom Demo Handbook, let's just finish up talking about warranting. So when you, as a Chatelaine, are trying to figure out what is the next thing I want to do in my office, I want all of y'all to think about 3 different things. Who is my target audience, right? Who am I trying to bring in? Whether that's newcomers, whether that's I'm trying to make older folks feel more comfortable, whether that's your landeds, right? I want you to think about, how am I going to engage that target audience, right? How am I going to communicate with them? Does my local group communicate best through in-person announcements, or does it communicate best through an online post? And then you're going to think about, what does my audience need, right? So people starting to get burnt out, they're not really interacting with one another, they're not really chatting. You see people starting to kind of fade away from your local group, then maybe you need a social activity that just gets everyone together and having fun, right? If what you need is more A&S classes and you're not seeing a lot of arts classes going on in your community, maybe you work together with your Minister of Arts and Sciences. You bring in a lot of newcomers and they're all interested in leatherwork, and you don't have a leatherwork class. Talk to your MOS and go, hey, maybe we should get a leatherworkers guild going. I've got 4 or 5 newcomers that all want to learn about it. All of those things are part of your office, right? It's mostly organizing stuff and working with other people to help get an activity going. When a newcomer comes in asking questions about any given thing, we're the guy who knows a guy, right? We're the one who says, oh, you know what? I know the perfect person for you to go work with on Rapier. I know the absolute best person for leather working in the barony. Let's go introduce you to them. That's what we're constantly doing with newcomers, but that can expand past just introducing someone to someone else and into working together with your local group to get newcomers classes going, social activities going, etc. The Barony of Bringolad has run a newcomers academy for 6-7 years at least now. I know we've got newcomers academies that have been going strong in the central region as well. Having a series of classes that onboards your newcomers is incredibly important. Number one, it teaches them what we're about as an organization. But number two, when you host those and have a meal together. You know, in Bringolad, our Newcomers Academy is typically done at a local pub. We have a class that talks about some SCA activity. We all have dinner and we chat, right? The idea here is that we're trying to build community that extends past just I'm stabbing people at a local fighter practice and moves into we're a group of friends, we're hanging out together, and we feel like we have this safe, stable place to interact with one another. Do we have any questions on warranting? I know we had a few people who came in late.
I had
yeah.
one thing I wanted to throw out. You mentioned you guys hold your Newcomers Academy at a local pub.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, every group's different. I'm not passing judgment, but I know when we do any sort of a newcomer, frankly, any sort of a get-together up here, there's usually a pretty hard bend away from any place that predominantly serves alcohol or has the appearance of serving a lot of alcohol in order to widen the net to the largest possible audience, making it more friendly for families, for minors, for adults under 21. I was curious if you had any thoughts on that.
So, number one, I think that's totally reasonable. The pub we're using is a restaurant during most of the day. Minors are allowed, so we don't really have a problem with that for our venue. But no, absolutely. More people showing up is better. So if you've got a burger joint or a local library or somebody's house and you're going to do a little potluck, a coffee shop, yep. There's a lot of different options. The pub is just the one we use because it's got a very large back room. They offer it to us for free. They've been very kind to us over the years. And so that's why we use that particular venue. Other questions? All right. So you've worked together with your local group to organize some social activities. You've gotten a demo going. I know based off of reading your reports and the handful of demo reports I get past that we've had a lot of demos going on around the kingdom. I kind of wanted to call attention to that actually. This past year, we have had more larger and more successful demos than any time since I took office, and looking at previous lists of reports, probably in the last 5 or 6 years at least. Recruitment is up by a very, very large margin, particularly in the southern region, which southern was hurting for a while. And we can definitely see the benefits of San Japan, Sherwood, Comic Palooza, New Braunfels Renaissance Festival, all of those different demos that the southern region has been pushing. Recruitment year on year is up almost 25% in that region alone, and their retention is holding strong at around 20 or 30% of that. Windham also has seen a big uptick since last year. I think y'all are, let me double check. Windham is at 15% since last year, increase in recruitment and about a 10% increase in retention. That's a really big deal. 5 or 10% is a big deal for a lot of organizations as an increase in something like recruitment retention. 10, 15, 20, 25% is really big. Based off of the actual numbers, Central Region looks to be down a little bit in previous recruitment, but I know we had some inflated recruitment numbers last year. I actually talked about it in my State of the Kingdom in the winter. And so I'm not actually worried about it. I think they're stable or a little better than what the real numbers were, but it's kind of hard to tell due to how some of the reporting was going on. There wasn't quite enough clarity at the time on what constituted a newcomer. And so sometimes we had Chatelaines reporting newcomers at like, I had 139 newcomers this month, which was all the new hits on their Facebook page. Not the group, the public facing page, all the likes, which is not a newcomer. They may be interested, but that's not the same thing. So I think we're doing a great job right now. While we're also talking about reporting, I'll say, or warranting, reporting is critical for us to be able to determine as kingdom officers what our strategies are going to be, where weak points are, advise the crown on what's going on in the kingdom. We have to have good reports. And I know our reporting right now is pretty significantly down. So right now, I think we've got, let me double check. So we're down about 15% on reporting since same time last year, which is a pretty big hit. Most of that is actually coming out of Central. I know we had a lot of turnover in the last few months in both Central and Southern, and their reporting suffered a little bit for that. And also we had major turnover in the form of I spent 6 months looking for a regional for Central. I spent the last 2 or 3 months looking for a regional for Southern Region. And I find that an active regional officer that, emails people consistently about reports and whatnot really improves reporting out of a region. I try to make sure that I reach out as best I can, but there's only so much I can do because I have other balls I also have to juggle. Sabjorn was handling that until until December. And so I'll be taking over for him until we can find a Southern regional officer starting this month. So make sure you get your reports in, try to make them on time. If they're not on time, it's not the end of the world. I would still rather have a late report than no report at all. And you're not in trouble, just get it in at some point. All right, let's move on to the Chatelaine Handbook. So this is the biggest topic of the day for me. I've spent about a year and a half teaching myself how to design questions for a large-scale social survey, how to eliminate bias in responses and reduce attrition of responses, and a whole bunch of different things. It's been a tough year, and it's been a lot of work, but we are nearing release, and all of you as Chatelaines are the folks that get to help with that release. So we're going to talk in the next part of the meeting about why we're having the census, what it's looking at. We're going to go over the census a little bit, and then we'll talk about implementation and what the jobs of the locals are going to be as we distribute it, and regionals. The census will be distributed both online and in person. And so locals and regionals, I'm going to get y'all PDF copies of the census. If you've got money in a baronial budget to make some printouts of those, please do so and make sure you're bringing them to local activities and events. If you don't have a budget for that, reach out to myself or your regional and request help getting printouts, and we'll do what we can to get printouts to you. So let's start off by talking about why we're having it. When I stepped into the office, we did not have a lot of information on who we had as members in the kingdom, who we were recruiting, why they were interested, why people left. You know, we had a bunch of people with a lot of ideas about that, right? You know, oh, well, they're leaving because of burnout or a toxic environment or any number of reasons. But at the end of the day, a lot of it was hearsay, and we lost a lot of new members without ever really knowing what was driving people away. While it's unlikely in the distribution of this census that we're going to get responses from folks that have already left, learning what the people who are around are experiencing, what their struggles are, can help inform us on some of those things. As I worked on this, there were requests to add additional questions from other kingdom officers and the crown, so that we could dive deeper on other things that the kingdom officers and other officers around the kingdom wanted to learn about the kingdom and better equip people to succeed going forward. Once all of the data's in and the number crunching is done and everything is anonymized and no, identifiers are left, there will be a point in this process where we are going to send out a lot of the results in the form of graphs and charts and metrics and whatnot to you as the local Chatelaines, so you can get an idea of what you are doing, what your impacts have been, how that's impacting the kingdom, and what things you may need to look out for in your local groups to help prevent problems before they ever even occur. At the end of the day, data and metrics are the best way to determine those things, and so that's what we're trying to provide ourselves with right here. However, our data on something like this is only as good as the number of responses we get. So it is going to be up to a combination of y'all, your seneschals, your landids, your social media officers, the other kingdom officers, and the regional officers to promote this census and hype people up for answering it. The crown is going to be helping with this as well, talking about it at events and encouraging people to respond to it. We're going to have a large push to get people to answer in person if they haven't already answered online at Gulf Wars. And I will be bringing a bunch of hard copies of the census for people to answer manually at Gulf Wars. Primarily at the beginning of this process, what I wanted to look for was data on recruiting vectors, what's bringing people in, what isn't bringing people in, what activities are they interested in when they initially come into the organization, what factors are making people want to leave. Over time, that has developed into questions about award structure, questions about arts and sciences, combat, you name it. There is a large demographics section at the very beginning of the census. I'm sure everyone will see it when they go through it. And that section, I know we're going to get questions about it. And so when I pull the census up here in a second, I anticipate some of those questions. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to have concerns. I want people to voice that to me now. But without asking questions about ethnicity, gender, age, it's hard for us as officers to determine if there are problems that we can't even see initially, right? If we get a bunch of people from one ethnic group that are all fighting heavy, but we have no knights in any of that ethnic group, and a lot of them have been fighting for 10 plus years, well, that is something to be concerned about, right? We don't know if that's the case, but we won't know until we start asking questions. This also should help us find holes in our recruiting strategy, maybe find venues to recruit in that we might not otherwise have thought of. So I'm going to share with y'all a copy of the census and its info sheet. In the chat, you will find a link now. I'm also going to share the slideshow. All right. So the second link is the slideshow, the first two. So we've got the info sheet for the census and the preview. Feel free to read through it at your leisure. It is a lot of information, but it is very important. The info sheet also contains an FAQ. And that FAQ is going to be your go-to to point people to when they have questions about the census. My goal is to answer as many of the census questions as I possibly can in the FAQ so that I don't get 4 million emails while I'm trying to get it out. And you don't have to answer 4 million questions. Inevitably, there will be people who don't read it, and that's just reality. But hopefully this will prevent most of the questions. Currently, the census consists of 5 sections, with the longest section being 29 questions. That section is section 4. It's actually going to be broken up into 2 separate sections, I believe, at 14 and 15 questions each. So there will be 6 in the final release. That's in my copy. It's not in the one I just shared. There will be a series of questions added in before release to give participants more freedom in feedback opportunities. So, in one word, describe how you feel about problems with blank in the kingdom, or your awards path, or recruitment, right? The idea there is that participants are going to get the opportunity to respond with a level of freedom. Secondarily, when they are going through the census and when you are informing people about the census, I want you to make sure to remind people that this is for everyone. You do not need to be a paid member. In fact, unpaid people are just as important as paid folks in terms of answering this. This is kingdom-wide. However, we are kind of serving as a bit of a guinea pig here. There are several kingdoms that are really, really interested in it. And so we will be if this works and we get good responses, we will potentially be sending this off to the Society Chatelaine to distribute to a few other kingdoms. I know Ansteorra has reached out to me about it. Atlantia, etc. Estrada asks, will the census form say progress in the event you're interrupted? I am trying to find a way to do that. I think the only way you can do it with Google Forms is if you have a Gmail account, which not everyone does. And I'm not 100% certain it will let you answer it if you don't have a Gmail account, if I enable that. I need to do some testing. Let me double check. It's been shared with you. That should fix the presentation link for you. So when we distribute it, if I can find a way that they can come back and edit it, and it doesn't mess things up in either our data collection or our privacy stuff, then we will do that. But my primary goal here is to give people as much privacy as possible and give people the opportunity to answer it, even if they don't have access to a Google account or something. Hence why we're going to be doing in-person distribution as well. As you can see in the current slide, so The release date for the census is going to be February 1st. So that's when it will first open for responses, and it will close for responses on March 31st. So we've got a 2-month window, including Gulf Wars, for people to respond. I had talked about making it 3 or 4, but after discussing how surveys and censuses like this work with some people who professionally do this, what we determined is that a somewhat shorter window was a better idea. Y'all will all get an email, as well as seneschals and landeds, in the coming week or so, that are going to give you all the information you could possibly need to know about the census, right? It's going to contain another round of links to the census info sheet. It's going to contain a link to the new pre-release copy to view if you need. It will contain the links to the live release for when it goes open on the 1st. It will contain any language that you may need. So I'm just going to give you a canned statement. If you don't want to talk off the cuff about it, there'll just be a canned statement of, the Kingdom Census is coming up. Here's some information on it. Here's where to go if you have questions. Here's who to email if you have an issue. All of that will be contained in the email. If you're in this meeting and you're a baron, a baroness, a seneschal, expect a little bit of additional information that is more related to your office and how it might interact with the census. But all of that should go out in the coming week or 2, hopefully. My goal is to have it out by Friday, barring any mundane life problem. So that should help you answer any questions for local groups with access to the info sheet, the FAQ on there, the FAQ in the email, etc. There will be a lot of tools for you to use to help people figure out any questions they may have and have an answer to them. My hope here is that I can set up a system where I answer every major question there may be in advance. That way I can work on crunching numbers and not work on answering questions about where do I find what hyperlink. As we move into release, with printed copies, try to keep one on you if you're a local or regional chatelaine, 1 or 2 copies of it when you go to fighter practices, events, social activities, etc. Make a little pitch about the census every once in a while. Go, hey, I have a copy on hand if you don't want to answer it online. When you get people answering those copies, either scan them and send them back to me, or give them in person to myself or one of the regionals, and I'll have them bring it to me at an event, and we will make sure that that information gets input into all of our spreadsheets so that we have the ability to manage all the data. Once all information, so everyone knows what's going on with data privacy, has been collected, there's going to be a spreadsheet. The only people that are going to have access to the spreadsheet with the gigantic list of information is going to be myself, the Crown, the Kingdom Seneschal, and if I can find one by then, a census deputy who's going to be helping me crunch all the numbers and sort through all the data. Those are the 4 people that will have access. And the Crown and Kingdom Seneschal will only be having full access to the unsanitized data if I am told they absolutely have to have it. We're not sure about that right now, but even the Crown is like, anything you can do to remove more people from that data stream is a good idea. And I agree with that. So that's a Seneschal question, but as long as there's no problems on their end, that data will end up, the unanonymized data will end up only being accessible to the Kingdom Chatelaine and the deputy and nobody else. All other data will have any names, any identifying information stripped from it or broadened out so much that you couldn't identify folks. So we're not going to release like the Shire of the Shadowlands had a person who said blah, 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 blah. We're going to say, you know, there were negative sentiments about X, Y, and Z in the southern region, right? So we can avoid having information where someone can be like, ah, well, obviously that was so-and-so, right? We don't want to get into a situation where people are worried about their path for awards, where they're worried about getting doxxed or something. I don't know. So we're going to solve that before we ever get there. There will never be any data that's going to be released that is going to contain any identifying information. And, you know, if you have people ask about that, reiterate that. It is very important that people know that we are doing everything we can. I have approached professionals in this field over the last year and a half to learn how to do this in a manner that will keep people protected and keep the data safe. Currently, the positions that will get access to the unfiltered info are myself and the census deputy. If I am required to by any given society policy, that will open up to the seneschal and potentially crown, but right now it looks like it's probably just going to be me, the census deputy, and maybe the seneschal, the kingdom seneschal. This is not going to go out to like the kingdom rapier marshal, the earl marshal, the minister of arts and sciences. None of them have access to that. Any additional questions before I move on? Then please, questions are great. You can turn on your mic, you can talk, you can raise a hand, it's fine. Okay. I'm going to change my screen. Oh, wait, we have a hand up. Ivo.
If someone has questions about sharing information and they're not assuaged by all of the assurances you gave, you be open to entertaining a conversation? Could I say, hey, let me put you in touch with the guy who's running this, and he can give you some straight up answers about how information will be handled? Is that something that you're okay with, or is that too much on your plate?
No, that's absolutely fine. You were breaking up there at the beginning of that. I'm just going to double check. Your question was, if someone has questions about information privacy, is it okay to send them my direction to reach out to me? That's absolutely okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, shoot an email to the Kingdom Chatelaine, a Facebook message, anything they want. I'm definitely willing to talk to people about that to alleviate any concerns on privacy stuff. Other questions? Comments or concerns? All right, I'm going to open up the pre-release copy of the census here for a moment, just so y'all can get a look at it. So what you're looking at here is the Google form version of the census. This is not the final release. There's still several edits that are on my release copy that are not here. This is the one I prepared for today. And it's based off of not the current revision, but the last one. I haven't broken up the section on this version of it yet, section 4. So, beginning of it is just a boilerplate. Hi, thank you for taking the census. The first real section is going to be demographics. They'll go through age range, ethnic group, gender, income brackets. I mean, really, really standard demography stuff. If you've seen it on a big public survey, it's probably on this. Then we have some targeted, more SCA-oriented questions. Group of residents, have you lived in another kingdom? What activities do you do, etc. Then we're going to move into the recruitment questionnaire. So section 2 is asking people how they found the SCA, why they joined, what things occurred around them finding and joining it, what were the good things, what were the bad things about that. So there are multiple opportunities to express all the positive, negative, and everything in between about the process of onboarding into the SCA. And again, the census is not just for newcomers. This is for newcomers. This is for triple peers that are also a lion and a duke. This is everybody. If they don't remember a thing, if they feel like not answering a question, if they don't like answering it because they don't want to give out that information, all of that is always okay. Every question on here is optional. So everyone has the opportunity to say, I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable giving that information out. Asking questions about interactions that brought people in, what recruitment media they might have encountered. If they heard things that made them hesitate to join, right? What were the negative things people heard before they ever entered, if they heard any, that might have prevented them from joining the SCA? This third section is going to be recruitment service. So the questions here are all related to members and their participation in helping with recruitment. So while a Chatelaine might answer, yeah, I help with this and I've been helping with it for years and da-da-da-da-da, are our rapier fighters helping? Are our heavy fighters helping? Are artisans or whoever else, right? Are they showing up at demos or not so much? What kinds of recruitment activities and demos do people go to? Which ones have they participated in? If you have a major demo and you don't see it on this list, I know I need to add GalaxyCon. Let me know so that I can add it to this list. We are finalizing this week. So if I don't know by Friday and you have a major demo you would love to ask if people have been attending it, you're out of luck. When participating in demos, what activities are you participating in? Are you fighting? Are you dancing? Are you doing arts classes, etc.? Section 4, which is the current longest, is going to be split into 2 different sections, or D. So this is all retention-related questions. What are the things that make people want to play, and what are the things that make people want to leave? Whether that's injuries, health, burnout, age, any number of things, right? This is everyone's opportunity to give feedback on their issues with the SCA and the kingdom as a whole. Anything good, bad, or otherwise. Yes, I do have MedFair on there. So when people go through this, around question, where is it? 19? Nope. 24. We start entering some questions on award structure, the last 4 or 5 questions here, and I've got some questions from other sections that'll get popped out of their sections and added in. And we're going to have a small independent section that specifically focuses on SCA award structure, award timelines, etc. This is to give people an opportunity to give feedback saying like, man, I feel like it takes way too long to get a blank, or man, I feel like it's way too fast, or whatever, right? Again, if you answer these questions, this is your best way without giving a crown or whoever your name and talking to them in person to anonymously tell someone, hey, I really think it shouldn't take 5 years to get a blank, or it should take 2 years to get a whatever. Oh, of course, Ulrich. Would you like me to reach out to you by email, or do you want me to set up a call at some point with you? Just reply in the chat there. And then the final section is retention service. So this is what are people in your local groups doing to help with retention? What are they doing to come out to social gatherings? And I guess I'll shoot him an email then. Are they showing up at fighter practices? Are they donating things to Gold Key, right? Are they intentionally helping us keep this organization alive and active? Before I move on to the closeout of the overall meeting, do we have any questions left on the census? There will be much more information to come in an email later this week. All right, let me move back over to the Chatelaine slides. Okay, so general news and announcements to close out the meeting. So Kingdom ER Deputy is still open. I do have someone who is interested, but if you are also interested, please feel free to reach out to me. Southern Regional Chatelaine is open. If you've ever thought about taking on a regional officer position, it is not a particularly tough job. It's a lot of herding cats and sending emails to people to say, hey, please turn in your reports. It's anyone can do it. It's not a bad job. You go out to some demos, you answer some emails. That's most of it. And you help me with things like issuing a census. Ask yourself, is my membership up to date? Is my AMP updated? I know that when I was trying to do warrants the last time, I had a bunch of people who weren't in AMP or hadn't updated their AMP, and so I couldn't do their warrant. Ask, when is my term up? And what is my plan for transition? So if you've got 6 months until your term is up, you should be looking for a deputy to start training. Ideally, start looking for them a year out, right? The longer you have to train someone, to work with them and teach them what it is to be a Chatelaine, the better they're going to do. Do you need any help? If you have put something in a report and that doesn't seem to have gotten to me and you really need help with X, Y, or Z, reach out to me by email, reach out to your regional by email. That's what we're there for, is answering questions and trying to smooth the bumps for you. I've already given you all the information you need on the census. I don't think we need to cover that anymore. Ask yourself, if you're organizing a demo, after that demo, what have you done to set the hook? What are you doing to create a landing platform for newcomers? It is not just about getting them to their first activity. It's about how we keep them after that and follow up. If you've got a really excited person at a demo, get them on social media right then and there. Reach out to them. Go, hey, we've got a local, activity coming up this week. I'd really appreciate it if you came out and took a look. I know it was really fun talking to you at San Japan. Get your demos on the Kingdom calendar. Contact either myself, the Kingdom Web Minister, or the Demo Deputy. Get your demo up on the demos page. That way you can advertise it to people already in the SCA. And if you've got it on the Kingdom calendar, you're more likely to get people coming to help out with it. Your primary source of correspondence should always be your Chatelaine email. Make sure that you are using your email, you're checking it regularly, and do your best to, if you've got a problem or a question, reach out by email, particularly to me and your regional, because paper trails help. If you've got a hubbub going on in your local area, a paper trail is how I can stand up for you and go, actually, this is what I got sent in an email. Here's the date I got sent it. This is what I'm seeing going on, right? I'm here to stand up for you and make sure your job is as easy as possible. So please, please, please send me emails when you have issues. Send your regional emails when you have issues. Reach out to us. Communication is key here.
5 minutes.
Any final questions on your job as a chatelaine, warranting, etc.? All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming to the meeting. I really appreciate it. I will make sure we get the warrants updated for everyone, and you're good until the next roundtable. Thank you for coming to training. If you need more training, just reach out.